Hey there, listeners. The world isn't slowing down. In fact, it's not stopping for you or waiting for you or I. Technology, we're seeing it advance really quickly, and industries are being disrupted, and skills that worked yesterday are already becoming outdated. Now, here's the thing. If you are not learning faster than the pace of change, then you're falling behind. So let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Dennis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Well, listeners, today we're diving into a powerful topic. Change is no longer a one-off event. It's not something that comes every few years and then settles down. What we notice is that change is constant. It's the environment where they actually live now. So what does that mean for leaders? It means you can't afford to stop learning. You've got to refresh your skills, expand your mindset, and embrace new tools if you want to stay relevant and lead with impact. It used to be that organizations would face change in phases. In other words, you do a restructure here and you might do a system rollout. It was disruptive, but eventually you'll go back to what we called business as usual. Now, that world doesn't exist anymore. Now, change is the business as usual. And what we're noticing is that technology evolves daily. In fact, customers' expectations shifting constantly is the way I want to put it. You've also got economic pressures, global disruptions that keep moving the goalposts. And here's something that's really quite interesting. I think that skills that you've got today, they actually have an expiry date. Now, what do I mean by this? Many skills now last only a few years. In fast-moving areas like AI, it can be less than 18 months. But in fact, it's actually probably even faster now, right? So we're finding that a lot of people are launching new AI apps by the thousands every week. And so it's just taking off big time. Now, the leadership challenge today isn't about handling one moment of disruption. It's about building the ability to lead in a world where disruption never stops. John F. Kennedy captured it perfectly when he said this: leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Now, why is this real critical right now? Well, if we think about AI and technology, we as leaders must understand how digital tools can reshape business. Ignore it, and then you're going to risk irrelevance. The other one is around uncertainty, because we've got global tensions and climate change and market volatility. All of that really demands leaders to be able to pivot quickly. Now, you've got this other thing called employee expectations. You've got millennials and Gen Z who expect leaders who learn and create growth opportunities for them. Now, if they don't see it, they'll leave. Another area is around competitive edge. Those organizations that can embed continuous learning, what can happen is that they can innovate faster, they can attract stronger talent, and they adapt better than in all of their competitors. Now, Bill Gates once said that we all need people who will give us feedback, because that's how we can improve. Feedback fuels learning, and learning fuels leadership. I want to give you some examples from business and sports. Satya Nadella, who was from Microsoft, when he became the CEO, he shifted Microsoft's culture from know-it-all to learn-it-all. Now, that mindset transformed Microsoft from a stagnant company into one of the most innovative and valuable companies in the world. Indra Nooyi from PepsiCo, she is the former CEO of PepsiCo, and what she does, she described leaders as students of the world. She constantly studied trends and consumer shifts. Now, that willingness, that curiosity, actually helped PepsiCo pivot toward healthier products and sustainability, while at the same time expanding globally. My third example is the All Blacks. It's a New Zealand rugby team. It's our national team, and it's more closer to home as an example. Now, what I'm about to say is that they're one of the most successful sports teams in history. And it's not because of their raw talent, but it's because of their culture of continuous learning. Last weekend that's just gone by, they embarrassingly lost to the South Africans by a huge majority. Yes, New Zealand or the All Blacks have beat the South Africans just a few years ago, 57-0. But we lost quite a bit to the South Africans this weekend that's just passed. Now, what actually happens is that after every match, whether they win it or they lose it, they always run a review process called No Excuses Debrief. And they strip things back, analyze what worked and what didn't, and then they start making adjustments. Even as world champions of the past, they never assumed that they had arrived. You see so many leaders who go, ta-da, I'm now the leader or the manager, and they think they have arrived, but they are going to learn more. What the All Blacks understand is that success is built on constantly learning, improving, and staying humble. That mindset, the willingness to keep evolving, is why they've maintained excellence for decades. Listeners, it's a huge brand. It's a very strong brand. And, they're a great example of that. These are three examples that show us something powerful. Whether you're in business or in sport, the leaders who thrive are the ones who never stop learning. So what should you as a leader start doing today? Number one would be model the way. In other words, keep learning and share what you're reading, listening to, or reflecting on with others. Number two would build curiosity into your culture. In other words, reward people, encourage people to experiment, make mistakes safely because they're going to learn from it. Many organizations make sure that it's not a good thing for people to be making mistakes, and there's a fear kind of culture. Number three, invest in future skills. So if you can balance digital literacy with emotional intelligence and adaptability, then your ability, as I said earlier on, your ability to actually adapt will actually determine the focus that you're going to actually face in the future. In fact, your ability to adapt will actually determine the outcomes you will face in the future. Number four is create reflection space. I often talk about my Success Hour program, a weekly rhythm to think, plan, and really reset about where you're going. But if you can take time out to give yourself that space to be able to reflect and think and plan, you're going to be such a stronger leader that's going to be able to adapt and stay ahead of the curve. Number 5 is encourage peer-to-peer learning. Some of the best insights come from your own people, from your own teams. Number 6 is stay close to your customers. What I would suggest you do is you lift your head and you keep scanning the horizon. Anticipate things. Don't just react to the market or to your customers. Always try and anticipate what's going on. Number 7 is coach and mentor. Really important for you to understand that it's not all about you. So don't just focus on yourself. Multiply learning right across the team. Listeners, here's the bottom line. If you're not learning faster than the pace of change, then you're falling behind. Leadership today is not about having all the answers. You see, for some of you, you're trying to be everything to everybody, and you don't need to have all the answers. You're not expected to have the answers. And for some of you, you are running on empty. What it's all about is this. It's about you being curious, adaptable, and willing to keep growing. So my challenge to you this week is this. What's the one skill you need to refresh, relearn, rethink, or learn completely right now? That's my challenge to you. There's bound to be something that you can be working on to help you go to another level, help you lead better, but more importantly, how you can successfully adapt in all sorts of situations. And how will you show your team that you're on that journey? Because the thing is, if they understand that you're still learning and you're curious and you're out there wanting to learn more, that's a great role model, that's a great example for them, and will encourage them to do the same. Remember, as I said earlier on, John F. Kennedy said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. And as the All Blacks remind us, or even the best never stop learning. All high performers are still learning every single day. And they will actually take time out of their day to learn, to reflect, to talk to others, and gain insights out of every situation. Hey listeners, well that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.